What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Fish the Moment. Today I want to discuss an interesting topic with you guys. Does lure color matter, and does it actually help you put more fish in the boat? So let's get into it. Okay, so before we jump into the video, I do want to let you guys know that everything I say in this video is 100% my opinion, and it's based on my personal experience from what I've seen on the lake. And it definitely doesn't mean that I am the authority on bait color, and that what you guys have found through your life and what you've done through your fishing time isn't correct. And so I don't want you guys to go dislike the video, leave a bunch of nasty comments just because my opinion might differ from yours. I'm trying to just put the discussion out there. Again, I don't think that I know everything about this topic. I don't even know if I'm right about this topic. I just want to let you guys know at least what I'm thinking and what I believe in, because fishing can be very, I guess, subjective and based on what you have confidence in, what you have had success with, even if it may be wrong in other people's books. So just want to put that out there, that in all these videos I'm making, guys, I'm just showing you what's successful for me, and I don't want you to think that I'm telling you what to do, because that's definitely not the case. So other than that, let's get into the video. Okay, so one other thing I do want to call it is that I'm actually red-green colorblind, and it's actually kind of severe, and so I can't tell the difference between a watermelon jig, a green pumpkin jig, or a brown jig. It's hard to see red baits compared to green baits. I also can't see purple or pink, and so my opinion on this topic may be a little bit biased just by the fact that I can't tell the difference in all the colors, but I have tried all of them. I used to be sponsored by Strike King, so I tried every single color under the sun that you can imagine, and over the years, basically what I've found is that lure color doesn't make as much of a difference as the lure companies, manufacturers, and people will tell you it does. And if you walk down any aisle in a fishing tackle store, you'll see that there are 37 different colors for every crankbait, every jig, every soft plastic bait. And if you go to websites in the catalogs from these manufacturers, the number of colors they have is absolutely ridiculous. And I think that it's a little bit overboard when you have that many colors. Now, one thing I will say is I do believe lure color does make a difference, and it will help you catch more fish if you're throwing the correct color for the correct situation. And so if you go from, let's say, a black and blue to a green pumpkin jig, or a chartreuse crankbait from a white crankbait, that can put a few extra fish in the boat. But I don't believe that it's going to completely change your day and turn you from not catching any fish to Kevin Van Dam. And so I kind of want to address that in this video and talk about when I think lure color does matter, when I think lure color doesn't matter, and what results you might expect by changing lure color. And so hopefully you can kind of maybe save a little bit of money and just narrow your color selection down to a few different colors, and I'll show you the ones I use too. I can keep my colors really simple again because I can't see any of the colors. So just want to make sure that you guys know kind of what is really going on, and you don't have the pros who are trying to sell you lures giving you their opinions, guys who are getting sponsored by retailers or whatever giving you their opinions so you buy more baits and you get them more money, stuff like that. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I want to save you guys money, make sure you're spending your money on the things that actually matter in fishing, and I'm making a lot of videos about this going forward, what you should be spending your money on, in my opinion, in terms of higher quality stuff, and what stuff can you save money on, what stuff can you go a little bit cheaper on. And so hopefully you guys are enjoying these video series. Let me know down below if you're gonna like that kind of content. So first up, let's get into the reasons why I think lure color may not make that big of a difference when you're out on the lake fishing, and why I carry a limited number of colors when I go to the lake. And really, the way I think about it is that if you're not putting your bait in front of fish, you're not going to catch fish. That seems very simple, very straightforward, but I feel like that's lost on a lot of people who start fishing. They'll walk, let's say, into Academy Sports or Bass Pro Shops, and they'll see a ton of different jigs on the jig aisle. They'll have a 3/4 ounce jig, a 1/2 ounce jig, a 5/8 ounce jig, a 3/8 ounce jig. They'll have it in green pumpkin craw, green pumpkin candy, green pumpkin purple, green pumpkin orange, and they're like, what green pumpkin should I throw? What weight should I throw? And they get really confused. They buy one of everything and they start throwing it, and they think that by changing the size, by changing the color, they're going to start catching fish. And usually what's happening is that they don't actually catch any more fish by changing the color. The reason they start catching fish is because they start fishing in front of fish. They start putting their bait by fish. And so then you may get these special colors, these special lures that you love, and it just was a coincidence that the The second you tied on that lure, you happen to get to an area where the fish were actively feeding, where the fish were at. And so I feel like that happens all the time with new fishermen and fishermen in general. And I've found over the years I can locate fish pretty well, and when I find fish in a certain area, I can catch them on a black and blue jig, a green pumpkin jig, a 3/4 ounce jig, a 1/4 ounce jig. It doesn't matter. I can throw any bait down there when those fish are actively feeding, and there's a lot of them down there. Same thing goes for crankbait colors, things like that. And usually I find that the style of bait, like a jig versus a crankbait, makes a lot more difference than the color of the crankbait I'm throwing down there. Now, will the color of a crankbait or a jig influence the number of fish you catch? Absolutely. A lot of times you can go from a green pumpkin jig to a black and blue jig and get maybe 2 or 3 extra bites over the course of a full fishing day. But really, if you're not around the fish, it's not like you're going to go from 0 bites to 10 bites by switching from green pumpkin to black and blue. What normally happens is that you might go from 5 bites to 8 bites. Maybe 5 bites on the green pumpkin in an area where the fish are actively feeding. You switch to the black and blue, and it's a little bit better color for the watercolor, maybe different weight jig, something like that, and then you'll start getting 3 or 4 extra bites. And so that's kind of how I think about it. If you're not fishing by fish, then you're not going to catch fish regardless, and the lure color isn't going to make that much of a difference. Okay, so hold up. I'm sure a few of you guys were thinking, well, if changing lure color can get me 3 or 4 extra bites in a day, then why wouldn't I want to do that? I'm catching 0 fish right now. If I can change the lure color up and get 3 or 4 bites in a day and catch 3 or 4 fish, that's awesome. I'll do that any day of the week. Well, again, like I mentioned before, usually changing your lure color isn't going to change your success from 0 bites a day to 4 bites a day. Changing lure color may take you from 0 bites to 0 bites still, where if you have 5 or 6 bites a day, you might be able to go to 8 bites. So it's one of those things where it will improve your odds of catching fish when you're already catching fish. And instead of taking time worrying about your lure color, I would recommend that you focus more on the style of the lure you're throwing. That's going to make a lot more difference than changing from a black and blue jig to a green pumpkin jig. Now, there are basic guidelines that you can follow for different colors. You've probably seen that in all kinds of videos. It's like the first videos most people watch when they start looking at fishing videos. But usually what I do, just to keep it really simple, is that I stick to 2 colors in my jigs and soft plastics: black and blue and green pumpkin. That's what I throw. Black and blue and green pumpkin in my jigs. Those are the only colors I carry. I throw black and blue even when the fish are feeding on shad. Just black and blue and green pumpkin, that's it. For the jigs, a lot of my soft plastics, black and blue, green pumpkin. I don't really even throw watermelon or pumpkin or anything like that. Black and blue, green pumpkin. Then for my crankbaits, I keep it super simple. I throw a shad color. Don't care what shad color it is, just something white. I throw a chartreuse crankbait, just something yellow, and then a crawfish color crankbait, something red. It doesn't bother me if it's a chartreuse blueback, chartreuse blackback, if it's a crawfish, Sam Rayburn craw, Delta craw, Kentucky craw, you know, whatever craw you want, KFC craw, I have no idea. It doesn't matter what color crawfish it is, as long as it's red, I'm good. And so, you know, that's kind of how I keep my crankbaits and my jig selection going, and it kind of bleeds into all my other baits. Again, I'm focused on trying to find maybe the right bait that those fish want to bite on as far as style of lure, not the color of lure that the fish are focused on. And as you can see in my videos, I do still catch a lot of good fish when I throw a green pumpkin 3/4 ounce football head jig, and I'll throw that any time of the year, anywhere in the country, and catch fish. And that's because I'm putting the bait around fish, and then I can take other baits like a drop shot, a shaky head, things like that, and get a few extra bites once I'm on the fish. So that's why I believe lure color doesn't make as much of a difference as people believe, or at least it shouldn't be the primary thing you focus on when you go to the lake. You can focus on so many things when you go to the lake and start fishing, and lure color should be one of the last things that you're really focusing on. You should focus on where the fish are in the lake. Are they in the main lake, first third of the creek, middle of the creek, back of the creek? Do you see them on your Fishfinder? Are they on rocks? Are they on grass? Those sorts of things are going to be a lot more impactful to your fishing success, in my opinion. I want to add that in there, in my opinion. Again, not telling you what you do in this video. This is all my opinion. So next thing I want to talk about is, when does lure color actually make a difference? And again, like I mentioned, changing lure color can help you get a few extra bites. And And a couple reasons why lure color change might matter. The first is that you are fishing in, let's say, really dirty water versus really clear water. A lot of times your darker colors, your black neons, your black and blues, that's going to be better in the dirtier water as opposed to the green pumpkins. And just because the bass can see the darker colors better. Now, does that mean you can't get bit on green pumpkin in dirty water? Absolutely not. Does it mean you can't get bit on black and blue in clear water? No. You can get bit on both colors in both water clarities. And so there's just, you know, kind of a common knowledge in fishing that black and blue is better in dirty water, green pumpkin and watermelon are better in clear water, just because they do get you a few extra bites, but they'll both work in different water colors, and I'm sure you guys in the comments are going to mention that. And so, you know, lure color, again, is something that's a little bit more subjective. It's confidence-based, and that's the second reason why you should change lure color, and it's because you have confidence in certain colors. And confidence is huge in bass fishing. Confidence is so important. And so if you're super confident, let's say, in throwing a red crankbait, and that's your favorite color crankbait, and the fish are feeding on shad, well, you still might catch more fish on a red crankbait than on a shad color crankbait just because you have a lot of confidence in that red crankbait. Case in point, I was fishing on the Arkansas River one year with one of my buddies, and we were fishing Main River jetties that were loaded with gizzard shad. Shad were all over the jetties, and I was throwing a chartreuse and a white crankbait, kind of my two colors I like to throw when the fish are feeding on shad, and I was doing okay, catching a few fish, and then my buddy picked up a crawdad color crankbait, red crankbait, and the fish, again, you could see the shad kicking on the surface, see him busting on the surface from the shad. He threw the red crankbait and he got 3 4-pounders. The 3 biggest fish of the day, better quality, and it just happened that this red crankbait was what they wanted. It was just something different, and he caught them. So a lot of times we think we know what's going on with color too, and a lot of times we just don't. And he also just had confidence in this bait, and so he was throwing it because he had caught fish on Lake Ouachita in the spring when fish are feeding on crawfish on it, and he just liked this bait. It was a confidence bait of his. So confidence can be huge in lure color as well. And then the last thing that lure color can help with is when you're dealing with really pressured fish. And let's say you're fishing in a big bass fishing tournament where you have a lot of guys fishing the same areas. Maybe you're in an area with 5 or 6 other guys, or you just get a lot of pressure on the lake in general, and everyone's throwing the same green pumpkin or black and blue jigs. Well, a lot of times you can change up your lure color to match the hatch, which means matching the bait fish so that you have the right tints of colors for like the same color as a crawfish, the same color as a shad. And sometimes that can help you get a few extra bites over your competition. Or you might find that, let's say, dyeing the tail of your pincers on your crawdad trailer, or when you're flipping, just putting like a little chartreuse dye on the tip of the tail might give that bait a little bit different look and help you catch a few more fish behind other fishermen. And so those are sorts of things that I'm not very good at doing because I just don't do it that often, and it's never something that I really focus on when I was tournament fishing, but I know it does work. And so a lot of times when you are fishing tournaments, let's say you're a FLW Tour Pro, you fish the Costa Series, BFLs, or maybe just local tournament trails, a lot of times focusing on lure color can make a difference, but most of the time that's only going to work when you have it all dialed in as far as the right bait, the right area, the right depth of water, the right time of day, all those other things. And then lure color is the last little adjustment you make, the small tweak to put a few extra fish in the boat. And so I would say that lure color really isn't going to make that much of a difference unless you're a really, really good angler or you're really dialed in on your fishery. And so if you are struggling to just put a single fish in the boat, lure color is not going to be the main determinant of whether you're going to catch fish or not, in my opinion. I believe that finding the right style of bait or finding the right area is going to be a lot better for you in the long run. And so that's just kind of my opinion on this topic. This is definitely, again, something that's a little bit subjective, not set in stone as far as the correct lure colors in each situation. I don't talk about lure color that much on my channel anyways, 1, being colorblind, and 2, just because I don't feel like I'm an expert at it or even that great at it. I focus more on the style of lure and then also the area, because that's what I feel like I'm the best at. And so hope you guys enjoyed this video, I guess. Hopefully normally you like these type of discussions. I'm just trying to raise the discussion, and I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. You guys are always great at leaving awesome comments discussing what is, in your opinion, the best way to do it, or what you found is successful. And so I really want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. And again, don't leave a bunch of dislikes, because my opinion was different from yours. Again, I'm not telling you what to do in this case, and I do want you to know that I do believe lure color does matter, just maybe not as much as everyone talks about from other YouTubers, pros, stuff like that. So again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you like these discussion style videos. Plan to do a lot more of them in the future. Talk about maybe which fishing rods I believe are maybe better than others in my opinion. Talking about just different topics in general. I don't know. I just kind of like giving my opinion and then hear what you guys have to say. So let me know in the comments if you like these type of videos. So thanks again for checking this out. And if you want more, subscribe down on Fish the Moment. If you want more information on how to read your fish finders, how to find fish on the lake, actually watching me fishing rather than sitting at my desk because it's raining and 10 degrees outside, check out the channel. I got a lot of fishing videos as well. So thanks again for checking out the video, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.